Hey everyone, Simpson2142 here. I have finally gotten over my throat infection and now my vocal cords have been fully restored. So, Season 3 has come to an end and Season 4 is just around the corner, scheduling to start up early next week. And normally we can expect to see some changes between the seasons, where Blizzard takes on feedback from the most recent season and attempts to tweak and adjust in order to make the next season even more enjoyable for the players. So Jeff Kaplan, if you happen to be watching this video in the quieter, lesser known region of YouTube, then please hear my personal opinion of the top 5 changes we need for competitive Season 4 in Overwatch. Number 1. Change the skill rating system. This is by far my biggest problem with Overwatch's competitive mode, and that is the skill rating system. Now, I have been talking about this in greater detail in a previous video, so I'll try and keep it brief. But my current gripe with the skill rating system is that it only offers or deducts points based on the sole factor of whether your team wins or loses the match, regardless of how well you performed as an individual. And for a skill rating system which is supposed to measure your skill as an individual player, that seems really contradicting. And I know Overwatch is a team-focused game and playing as a team is the best way to win a match, but you don't always get people in your team who want to play as a team. You get people who flame easily, you get people who purposely throw the game, people who pick heroes that they have no playtime with, running off by themselves and getting picked off by the enemy. All this makes it very difficult for you, as an individual, to have a big enough impact on the match to compensate for that. But my biggest gripe with this team win and team lose system is people who leave the game. Why do we have a system whereby if a member of your team leaves, everyone else will still get points deducted for losing the match? How is that in any way a fair and justified system? Does the game expect the rest of us to be good enough that we can compensate for this missing player? And that if we lose, it's our fault for not being able to pick up the slack? And I know what the argument is. But Simpson2142, chances are it will happen just as much on the enemy team as it does your team, therefore it balances out. Well, no, actually, it doesn't completely balance out, because what's an even bigger joke is that even the enemy team will receive less skill points for winning a match against a team that has a lever. The other day, I was in a match where I was on 2,714 points. We lost the game on a 2 control point map where we couldn't cap the final point, so I dropped down to 2,686. Okay, fair enough. Then we have this King of the Hill map on Oasis, which you're going to see in the background, where our team completely wrecks the enemy for the first round, to the point we're practically holding them in spawn. One of their team members leaves games, presumably by rage quitting, could be in a disconnect, I'm not entirely sure, but either way, we stormed the round 3-0, and my skill rating only bumps up to 2,706. Why did I lose 28 skill points for a relatively close match and then only gain 20 points for a match that we absolutely steamrolled? Because someone left on the other team? Why is that a reason to punish us? Because we're playing too well and broke their spirit? What I would like to see is a skill rating system which takes a lot more consideration into a player's individual contribution to a match to decide whether they're playing at a level they deserve to be at. Sure, there may be some creases to iron out with how this system is decided, but I think that's a far more rewarding system than we have now, and it will lead to a lot less toxic people getting mad at their fellow teammates if they're not going to face the full punishment for their letdowns. Number 2. Remove win and loss streaks. This kind of follows on from my previous point of the broken skill rating system. In Overwatch, they have a multiplier effect which correlates with the amount of wins or losses you achieve. It basically functions to give you an increased reward should you be winning multiple games in a row, but also gives you an increasing deduction should you be losing a lot of games in a row. I get the logic behind this, I really do. The idea that if a player is playing at a level they shouldn't be, the game will try to assist them in reaching their ideal skill level so that they can start playing against people more their match. So you're winning a lot of matches, the game assumes you're playing at a too low of level, and tries to boost you up until you start to lose again, and obviously vice versa. The issue with this tails onto my previous point of how the game will decide this based on whether your team manages to win or lose. And we all have those bad days where things just aren't going right and you end up losing multiple matches. I mean, this is where the whole tilting term derives from. But this can result in players' skill rating varying drastically in a very short space of time, and will result in giving that player an undeserving shift in skill points, which ironically will now more likely place them at a level they shouldn't be at. I mean, maybe this system was more justified back in seasons 1 and 2, where your new rank was solely decided through 10 placement matches at the start, but now with season 3 and presumably season 4, where it takes your previous season rank into more consideration, I really don't think this win and loss streak system is needed. It just seems to create more problems than it's trying to solve. Number 3. No more draws. Okay, so I've ranted about how I don't agree with the wins and losses in competitive, so it only makes sense that I also choose to complain about the draws too. Now, draws are annoying because it can result up to around 20 minutes of exhausting gameplay action, only to find that you've been awarded next to nothing for your efforts, a tiny dribble of competitive points, and no increase at all in your skill rank. Now, in theory, draws should be the best outcome ever in a competitive game. You were pitched against a team who was just as evenly skilled as yours, you had an intense and exhilarating match, and at the end of all that, no one lost any points at the end. In theory, this should be perfect. The problem with draws is the amount of them that occur on 2 control point maps, where an attacking team must fight against the defenders to capture 2 separate control points. The reason they occur so much is because of the huge shift in map balance between capturing point A and then capturing point B. Point A is favoured for the attacking team, as they have it closer to their spawn and so have the advantage of being able to get to the point much quicker than the enemy. Point B, however, then shifts this balance heavily into the favour of the defenders, as the point is quite literally outside of their spawn. So the skill gap between capturing point A and capturing point B is huge, and what usually happens is both teams failing to capture point B, and so the match results in a draw. And this is not only frustrating because of the lack of points you receive for a draw, but also the gameplay itself. Once you know you failed to cap objective B, and you're now on the defending team and you've just lost objective A, the best possible outcome you can hope to achieve now is a draw. And to achieve that, you have to defend the point for about 5 minutes, which can be incredibly boring and unmotivating. My solution to this, which is one that a lot of people have also suggested, is rather than have the capture point as a black or white capped or not capped, use the 3 ticks that you see displayed on the capture meter and measure the cap by that. So if a team fails to capture objective B but manages to achieve 2 ticks, there is still a chance that they can now stop the enemy attackers from winning by making sure that they get less than that. This solution should severely reduce the amount of draws and make the gameplay a lot more intense. Number 4. A better reward system. Okay, so our current reward system is that you get competitive points and you can use every 3,000 of those competitive points to purchase a golden weapon. There are 2 ways to get these competitive points. 1. You play competitive mode, win or draw a match and receive a small amount. And I do mean a small amount. 2. Achieve the highest rank you can and get a much larger reward at the end of the season. My problem with this current system is that it very much favours those at higher ranks. You can see from this image the sheer difference in the amount of competitive points awarded for each rank, and personally I don't find that to be very fair on those in the lower ranks. I mean, some guy in Masters who literally played their 10 placement matches and nothing else is going to receive more total competitive points than a player who put in hours and hours of playtime in the silver and gold ranks. I mean, yeah, that silver and gold player will receive points for winning or drawing in those matches, but those points received are such a dribble compared to the sheer amount a Masters player will receive just for being in Masters. It just doesn't seem like a very nice way of Blizzard for saying thank you for taking part. And my final suggestion for competitive Season 4, bring back the coin toss system. Ha, no. Seriously, what the fuck were they thinking when they implemented that thing? Like, really? A coin toss? My final suggestion would be to give people the ability to choose their hero preferences before queuing up for a competitive match, so you can select the heroes you'd like to play for the next match. Like for example, this match I would like to play either Reinhardt, Soldier 76 or Lucio. Tick that on your preference list and hit Q. And then that way, the game's algorithm could try and match you up with people who have selected to play different heroes. So you're not going to get a team where everyone wants to be the pro Genji, and therefore not be forced to play a hero they're not very comfortable with. Because I like to think I'm a half decent Zenyatta or Ana player, but put me into the role of a Reinhardt and I really do suck hard. Seriously, that's why there's not many videos of me playing Reinhardt. And that way it should lead to more fun and interesting matches where everyone is playing the hero they're best suited with. Anyway guys, that's going to do it for me today. Please let me know your thoughts on what changes you'd made to competitive season for a better experience. But until the next one guys, take care.